What's the cheapest way to drive a Mercedes? Well, call a cab, they say in Germany. And what's the cheapest way to own a Mercedes? Well, then go for their workhorse. And that's it here in the new generation, the new Citan. The name comes from city and Titan, but still don't say Citan, but Citan. That's how we call it in Germany, and obviously also international. The only generation you can see here with the brand new design, the huge Mercedes star, and also in this form here, painted lower area. So this is not the most basic version. We'll tell you more about that very soon. It also comes now optionally with LED lamps, and they also have a nice daytime running light. So this one more a higher trim level of, however, the panel van or box wagon. So this is then for transport. Let's take a look here in the side profile. You can see the length is at 4 meters 50 or 177 inches. You get 15 or 16 inch wheels. So you can also get here these nice 16-inch aluminum wheels. And of course, the side profile form follows function. Later on, there will also be a longer and also long wheelbase version available. The cars we show you here today, the cars or the vans we show you here today, are actually all the short wheelbase versions. And here in the rear, you also get the nice LED in the rear if you have ordered the optional LED in the front. Interesting also, you have either this split door, this is standard then for the panel van, or you can also get a real hatch, showing you soon with the Tourer transport passenger version. Here then the split, Mercedes star is still, this is actually new, that there's a Mercedes star at the rear. You know the cooperation partner is Renault. This car is built in a Renault plant. But we'll check out in this review for you today, is it a Renault or is it a real Mercedes? This will be very interesting, especially in the interior. Then, let's open it right here. Soon other versions are to come. And here we go. This here has a rubber floor, so it's actually quite rugged and also dampened just a little bit. Here, then you can also attach some tension belts, for example. And I really like this wooden insert. This is also a version then with a glass window right there to the front driver cabin and also glass in the rear. But you can also, there we go, but you can also get the more basic versions, of course. And here, for example, you can release this door and then you can have it here both sides in a 180 degrees opening way to maybe, load the pallet in and out, for example. The length here, 1 meter 60 or 63 inches. There's, however, also a version where you can fold this, this split cover on the co-driver side and have it even longer length right there. And the height here is about 1 meter and 10 or 44 inches. And the payload, by the way, 580 kilograms is the standard figure then, and also the same for the e-Citan coming up soon. You can also get 780 kilograms as an option. Then the rear axle is a little bit different, a little bit stiffer actually, and also less comfortable. That option is not available for the e-Citan, just in here for the petrol or diesel versions. And towing, by the way, 1.5 tons, however, for the combustion engines only. Even the panel van has to pass the Autogefühl door closing sound test. Actually quite solid, right? Then 90 degrees opening of the driver's door, but also for the passenger door. This is really coming handy if you have a disability, for example, and need special access to the vehicle. So interesting. Hardpack materials, but 24k euros is the entry price here for this standard panel van. This one here a little bit higher equipment, of course. And here the interior, this is really interesting and totally different than the Renault version. Here you have some kind of structured dashboard, still hardpack. Then you have an opening here and also with a USB-C charger, by the way, that you can, for example, have a smartphone holder, soon show you that in another version. Then this air vents, more like passenger car style. These instruments here will have a display in the middle part. The standard one starts with monochrome. This one here is the colored one. And then you have the steering wheel also from the passenger cars. And here also with, this touch field, but this is the kind of older version, not the very new one with the capacitive BS only. You have just these touch buttons. They're actually okay. But here for the cruise control and also for the volume, you still have real knobs, and this is, of course, way to go. Then Mercedes unique seats with a nice fabric structure, quite rugged and also breathable, but soft enough at the same time. So they look actually quite nice. And there's also MBUX infotainment system in 7-inch. This is also an option. You would start with a normal radio, and then you have the same screen like this without the GPS and all the extended function. And then of course here also in the highest trim with voice control and so on. And you sit, actually quite comfortable in here. Not too much space for your left foot here though, if you have long feet. But other than that, of course, way more than enough headroom no matter how tall you really are. I don't even have to state my, 1 meter 86, 6'1", if you don't know it. Steering wheel here, manual control like this, so you can very well find a good seating position, and you also have a nice overview in this case and also for the panel van because you can look through this glass here. Let's take a detailed look at the middle console here. The infotainment system features a manual volume knob, and hey, that's in a way better than some of the bigger MBUX infotainment systems we see, and also it's kept a little bit more basic. This also has this a little bit older view like this. You see, it should definitely be more responsive, and it also features the voice input. Hey Mercedes,
how can I help?
Drive me to Berlin.
Route guidance to Berlin is starting.
Yeah, there we go. Lower area here with seat heating, but it's not fully powered at the moment. But here, very likable temperature controls, good dials, here also for the vent strength. And this one then here is the 7-speed DCT, dual clutch transmission. Of course, the base versions will feature the manual then. This is, by the way, the car key, so they have designed it especially here for the Citan to make it a little bit more different. And then here 2 more USB-C connectors, but you also have the inductive charging pad. And then 2 cup holders, non-adaptive, but they should be at least high enough. Middle armrest, this is hard pack, and then a lot more space underneath, but this doesn't really hold, that just pops back. Then you can put some more things up here. And now a different color, but also a different version. You start with the panel van, then we go over to the mixed, like a mix between transport and passenger version. And this one here, the Tourer, this is then just for people transport. And then the next to it, like a different model, would be the new T-Class. We've shown that to you earlier, also as the electric EQT, which will be more like the private high-end luxury transport version. This one here, for example, then if you have a taxi business or maybe airport transport and so on. And let's first take a look here, also 90-degree opening for the passenger door. And the interior is in the front, more or less the same if you spec it in the same way. So not much difference there. This is more than really about the different specs, but definitely different here because we have sliding door. Also, you can get it for both sides, also for the panel van, but here you have then the seating row. Isofix, by the way, here outside seats for the second row, but also another one possible for the front seat. There's also Isofix as well. And well, let's get inside here. Let's see how that works then. And you can see you have enough legroom as well. Also for tall people, you have this table here. And when you put this one here up, you can also very well sit here. So again, upright seating position. Actually, fairly comfortable. Not too wide, the seats here, of course, because the car is also quite narrow. And in the long wheelbase version, you will also have a third seating row and up to 7 seats. This one then here being the 5-seater. But actually a very good room concept, and I really like this fabric here. It's kind of, rugged and long-lasting, they say at least. And also here, when you touch the upper area, it's also then, the very top surface is quite soft, so that's actually quite nice. Well, and then what about the rear? Let's take a look. Here in this case then, there's the hatch that folds up to the top, like this. Also with these gas struts. It's now higher than before, so also with 1.86 or 6.1 you can stand underneath it, and maybe when it starts to rain or something. And then there's the luggage area right here, but there's also this, this more rugged floor underneath. But you can also use this one here as a cover. So this is also quite decent. Of course, here very square dimensions. And the length here then 90 centimeters or 35 inches. Practical idea here with the roof rails, because if you want to install like a roof box or something, the ground carrier is kind of included. You fold up like here and then have kind of this crossbar, and you would do the very same thing from there and fold it here and attach it there, and then you also have the ground carrier for the roof box already included. I think it's a quite clever idea. Suspension-wise, by the way, the panel van has the very same suspension like the Renault pendant. was cool using a French word for the, yeah, okay, about that. And here, however, the Tourer version, yeah, I like to work this one out. So the Tourer version has a different rear suspension then from the Renault version, because Mercedes said we want to find our own setup here to make it more comfortable. The hardware does, is somehow the same. It's both using a torsion beam in the rear, so not the most sophisticated passenger version, let's say, take it by, but it's also fitted to then also carry a heavy load. But then, once again, the Tourer version here set on a more comfortable Mercedes style to even more fit the brand. We can expect that the T-Class, which is, kind of like the private version and above this one here, will maybe feature Multilink in the rear. That should be even more, comfortable then. But here, of course, the price then stays way lower. My cameraman Jonas just said, hey, that would be the Mercedes I would actually really buy. And I was like, really? When I think about Mercedes, I'm like, oh, it's like a CLS, E-Class convertible, a Mercedes SL or something like. Well, Jonas, then you also live, or have to live, with either 1.3 liter petrol engine or a 1.5 liter diesel in different horsepower specs. Yeah, but for this segment, that's actually quite common. But there's one new alternative also coming up right now. And that's the e-Citan, the electric version, front-wheel drive. And yeah, there we see the orange elements are then the electric ones. You can see they use, of course, less space in here in front for the electric version. Supposed to have some 280 kilometers or 170 miles of the pure electric range. Realistic figure, probably a little bit less, but this can also be an interesting alternative, especially for like inner city deliveries and so on, because they made it this time in a way that you don't have any compromise. So the payload, for example, is the same and so on. So also the room on the inside. This is a panel van, but the e-Citan will both come as the panel van and also the Tourer. And we can show you that it also in the rear from the loading area, it's just the same. You open the gate to the e-Citan, and you can see this one here, the one with the closed back and also the closed splitter right there. So rather the base version. This is also the most sold version, not in the electric version, of course, yet. But here you can see the EV, same height, same length, same loading area, same payload. That's actually very decent to have then. Well, this could actually have a quite significant share. Of course, we have to check the prices later on. People who steal Mercedes stars, well, this one will be even more fun because then you have a really huge one at home. Okay, no, I'm just kidding. Don't steal it. Never do it. Then 11 kilowatt AC or 22 kilowatt AC optional and 75 kilowatt DC charging. So 40 minutes from 10 to 80% in the battery charge. And that folding Mercedes star is really cool, right? So yeah, I hope they really attached it very well that you can always keep it. You can also spice up your van life with some more colorful versions here, like that one in red. This is then the panel van or the box. And here on the right side, this is the lowest spec vehicle we have here today. This is a Tourer, also with a nice blue. They are both uni and metallic paints available, by the way. Then also with the more rugged lower end, and these are also the halogen headlamps, so no LED, and then they also don't have this sophisticated daytime running light. And interesting also to take a look at the interior, which is a little bit more basic here. So in this case, we have the upgraded seats, but it's, for example, different from the infotainment system because this one has just the integrated radio, and that's it basically. And also here more basic AC unit, but that's also nice to control. So here manual AC unit, why not? This and also here the 6-speed manual gearbox, and this is all fine actually, but this one is whoa. So if you don't have the multimedia system, the right side here of this steering wheel is just like blacked out, and come on. Really? This, by the way, here the non-leather steering wheel, which is also quite okay. It's of course a little bit harder than, but then I mean it's animal-free. Then that's a good advantage, and it doesn't feel too bad. And for the workhorse version, that's actually quite fine. But this one here, and an excellent feature is you have a middle airbag here, so protecting driver and co-driver, let's say, from each other. Yeah, sometimes, in a partnership. That's a good idea. Well, and that's, you have 7 airbags overall for the Tourer as standard and 6 airbags overall for the panel van as standard. Yes, the middle airbag is the one that is missing then. So maybe don't drive just drive the two-row with the spouse and not the panel van. Oh, and here we have the base seat version. This is, let's say, the more plain fabric. The other ones look a little bit more elaborated, but these ones are also already quite okay. So it really depends on which version are you going for. You can mix it around quite a lot. This one, by the way, here again with the side opening here also for the red one, but just one sliding door. Here, that's the version and where you just have one sliding door. The other part is fixed. Of course, one of the main competitors is the VW Caddy. So tune into that video to compare it and also tell us what you think about here, the only generation of the Citan.